10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this April 22nd, 2019 afternoon. And Chris, we have a big weekend, I guess, in the 212 division out in Lebanon. You know, I went to school in, well, first of all, how's everything going with you, Chris? I know you were on vacation in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I'm going back.
You are?
Back. What do we go? Yeah, I'm going back. I just got back today, but I'm going back. It's
you
round
like it,
number 2. No, I did like it.
How is it after all these hurricanes that you had there the last couple of years?
I could turn on my laptop.
Oh, well, that was good. Because I know they didn't have internet for like a year or something like that.
I mean, from what I saw, that it seems, on a serious note, things seemed, okay electrically. Electrically.
How's the building? Everything rebuilt?
Yeah, where I was, and I was, a lot of places, things seemed rebuilt. Though the irony, I drove through this area where they have giant windmills, and some of the windmills were broken in half.
Oh wow, yes, that's probably from the storm. I wanted to get a windmill, not like a functional windmill where I would actually generate electricity from it, but I wanted to get. I thought that would be cool to just have on my property, but being the New Yorker that I am, I always forget about hurricanes. Like in a hurricane, what's going to happen with a windmill? It's going to be it'll be, as my wife would say, a projectile. The wind, yeah. The mill, or the wind, the mill part of it would go right through my window probably. So
possibly.
It didn't sound like such a good idea after she kind of laid it out that way. And I was like, well, yeah, you're right. Because I did live through one hurricane down here. It was only like a Category 3. And it was pretty terrifying, the winds. So I can only imagine what a Category 5 would be like down here. Probably be cool.
I saw a video of it, right exactly the same neighborhood we stayed in. And, the video was frightening.
Yeah. It's cool if your house is not going to fall down, which was pretty, I knew my house is solid here. It's all poured concrete. So I wasn't really that worried because the hurricane was supposed to be bigger than it was, and it was kind of downgraded, but it was kind of cool. It was just like a cool storm. But yeah, if you start seeing like the roof ripping off your house, that's probably not a fun thing. Right? Now, getting back to the show. So they had the 212 Pro show in Lebanon, and they had an amateur show. We'll talk about all that in a minute. But, when I went to school in Pennsylvania, I went to school in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. One of the neighboring townships that we competed against athletically and had a school there was Lebanon Valley. And, I always called it, I'm in New York, I call it Lebanon. I believe that's how they pronounce it over there, right? Overseas. But in Pennsylvania, it's Lebanon Valley, So not to be confused with Lebanon Valley or Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Lebanon had a pro show over there this weekend. How come George wasn't a part of that pro show? He's from Lebanon, isn't he?
I think his pro show is in either Italy.
Yeah, Italy with John Enrico Pica. But I'm saying I'm so shocked that he didn't get involved with something like that.
I think he has one in India too.
I believe you're right.
So
how come there's no Chris Aceto Classic?
Because George could technically pass as an Italian for sure, and he could pass as a distant cousin to an Indian as well.
Yeah, that's true. He does look a little Indian.
He blends in well.
He's got the Indian nose a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't think there's a monolithic Indian nose.
I think with Protan on, he could pass as Indian for sure.
Possibly. But no, I don't know why. You would think that George would be involved.
I'm shocked that he wasn't. Yeah, I'm shocked that he wasn't. I think Mo El Moussaoui put that show on, right? Or he was involved.
Yeah, Mo put it on. Yep.
So the show in Lebanon was run by, like I said, our good friend Mo El Moussaoui, and It went off without a hitch, although it started very late. Now, you told me it was supposed to, I think, begin, like 12 noon or something like that, and it wound up starting late or something like that. And I think your guy didn't go on to, like 3 a.m. in the morning? Something like that?
The show, I think, really got over at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
That's crazy. That could be a record, all-time record.
Yeah, well, it'd be like having, like I said earlier, before, it'd be like Gary Udit having the North Americans in 2 days instead of 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's true. But they probably should have done it. Started it very early in the morning too. I think.
No, yeah, it was a little odd. They combined. They did. Anyways, there was a lot of competitors, which is a good thing. And I don't know if they expected that amount of a turnout, which may have caused a delay. I don't know the causes of the delay.
But there was a huge. I mean, we're not talking delay. We're talking about huge delay.
Well, the show didn't get over, like I said, to 3 in the morning, 3 or 4.
And how much food, I always tell guys, bring backup food with you, but, who expects to go on stage at 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
You can't have enough backup food. At that point, you just start eating anything in sight.
That's right. You go into panic mode.
So I see they had the 212 event, which seemed to, it was basically the Battle of the Middle East. I mean, that's really what it amounted to. I don't think there was one person from any other country other than, either Iran or Lebanon or Saudi Arabia, Egypt. And it was like the old, remember the old days when the World Amateur Championships were always like all the Middle Eastern guys were always the guys vying for the title, and it was the same guys every year because they wouldn't turn pro and they would just come back and battle it out. Now they're all turning pro, and here we're getting it again here. And it's obviously guys from Iran can go to Lebanon. They might not be able to come to the U.S. because of past visa issues, but they can certainly go to these other countries. And it turned out to be a pretty good battle, with Fahad Hazazi from Saudi Arabia winning, and not winning unanimously by 1 point or something like that. He won, or 2 points.
Well, it was. I mean, the guy who got second was thicker, denser. But the winner had, a tiny waist. I think it was light in the legs. But, you can be light in the legs if your midsection is just completely tiny. Right?
I think they were both a little light in the legs, don't you?
I
thought Jafar Azizi from Iran was also not. He didn't have massive legs, but they both had great upper bodies, and it was close. You could have flipped the coin, I think, on it.
Yeah. No, you could have. I mean, it's.
I think that what's his name?
It came down to tie-ins.
Yeah, I thought that Fahad, the guy who won, had a little bit more upper body wow to him.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Well, wow in terms of tie-ins. Smaller waist. I think bigger looking arms, bigger V-taper. But not bigger.
No.
That makes sense.
No. I think they were well matched. It's interesting because he'll qualify for the Olympia now, obviously. He'll probably be able to go to the Olympia because he's from Saudi Arabia. Second place guy, Jafar Azizi, is from Iran. He'll never be able to get to the Olympia, which is kind of sucks, Do you think that had anything to do with the ultimate outcome, because it was very close? I know you probably didn't even think of. I think of conspiracy theories all the time, but I'm just saying. I mean, the guy from Iran is not going to can't go to the Olympia anyway. Does it matter if he wins? I mean, do you think that could have tilted maybe the final choice?
It could have. I mean, it's a wasted win. If the idea, it's a wasted win in the sense that if you want to shuffle someone off to Las Vegas in September, and the guy who just won your show is being shuffled back to Iran. I mean, it's just a wasted event.
Look, I support the government's decision to filter who's coming into the country because we're in a very precarious world now with a lot of danger. But as an athlete, it drives me crazy that the best guy, this Hadi Shupin guy can't come to the U.S. I mean, he's, we'll talk about him probably 10 years from now and say he probably should have been 212 Mr. Olympia, never got a shot, because they couldn't freaking show up. He couldn't get to the U.S.
No, it's.
What happened to the days when people defected? Remember, they just left?
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't want to defect. He probably gets paid a very nice salary living in Iran, as a world champion there. But
well, in the olden days, athletes would defect, and they would come over to quote our side, right? In the Olympics or something. They'd go for a walk, and they'd say, "I'm never going back to East Germany" or something.
Right. They can't even get into the country now.
Now, well, in those days, it was a way to stick your thumb in the eyeball or the eye socket of the Russian or East German government. It was our way of saying, see, even your best athletes want to live here.
Right.
Now, if they defect, the government would say, we don't even want you. Go back.
Yeah, get out of here, especially if you're a bodybuilder. They don't want you.
So it's a different day and age.
Ahmed El Sadani from Egypt, phenomenal in third place too. I mean, really, he's great top three.
Great top three. He's the best of the top three, without doubt.
Oh, you like him? You like him?
Well, he's got the best frame. He's got the best structure. He's got the best muscle bellies. He was at the New York Pro last year. I think he was. I think he was third last year.
You might be right. Yeah.
Third or fourth, and he was third or fourth and deserved third or fourth, and he deserved third or fourth here. And he gets pretty hard. It's just that he's going up at some of these shows where the people who are first and second at this show or New York Pro last year, people were in like totally outstanding condition.
Right.
And it makes his good condition look like not quite good enough, which is terrible because he's in good condition and he's super round and he's super full and put together in the right way. But I mean, Dave Palumbo says what? Win shows.
Conditioning.
What win shows?
Conditioning, yeah.
I mean, so for a lot of judges, right, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of times, when someone's judging a show and it's pretty close or mostly close, they'll defer to, crazy condition.
Yeah. Is he an oxygen gym guy?
I don't know. Yes, he is, because I saw the oxygen gym guys at the New York Pro last year, which was surprising because they were low key there. They were lower key than Beta is low key now.
I look at pictures of him, if I look at his Instagram, and I think he actually looks, and this could be, I don't know, maybe he has to make weight. He actually looks better about 2 weeks before the show. He's full and freaking round as could be.
The filter photos are... I mean, it's true.
It's the magic mirror photos too I'm looking at, so that could be possibly it also. No, I think he looks just bigger though too. I think he looks better bigger. I mean, I'm almost saying if he has to suck down this much to make the 212,
maybe he's
a good open guy.
Well, maybe he has to come down and weight. Maybe he's stuck. Maybe he's like a Correa type who's 220. And technically not a 212 guy, even though Eduardo Correa is a 212 guy, and this guy probably is a 212 guy, but they do look better at 217 or 219 than 212 or 211. Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes, I mean, look. I always tell these guys, the 212 guys, who are worried about competing in the Open, go fucking talk to William Bonac. I mean, about that. I mean, William Bonac said, "Fuck you! I'm not being a 212 guy. I'm an Open guy."
Bonac was a 202 guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying he was the lower division guy, and people probably told him he was crazy to go to the Open. Yeah. And he said, "You know what? Fuck you! I'm going to be a great bodybuilder." Lee Priest did it, Sean Ray did it. Why can't I do it?
Dexter Jackson did it.
Dexter Jackson did it exactly.
I mean, there'll never be another 160 pounds.
Yeah, and he proved that you could. So I mean, when I see a guy with a great structure and who looks better 5 pounds over the 212 limit or 7 pounds over, I say go do the Open. At this point, Chris, are there any guys that are really that good in the Open that you should really be that scared about? It's not like we have a very, very, very deep Open class anymore. I just don't see it.
I mean, there were. You know what? There are. I mean, there's a lot of good.
When you look at the top 10, when you look at the top 10 of the Olympia, do you say to yourself, these guys are insurmountable? No one can break through these guys. No, maybe the top 5, but I think we're in a flux. I think we're in a time of flux right now where we're going to see guys having opportunities if they want to go to that open category and really push it in the open, because so many guys are going to Classic now. New guys are staying in Classic, and then you have bodybuilders that are going down to Classic. I mean, you work with a couple of those guys. And the 212, it seems to be dwindling in the sense that guys want to do it, but they're not holding as many 212 shows anymore.
They are holding a lot of 212 shows.
They don't have the Arnold. How come they don't have the Arnold?
I mean, you know what? Because they came up with the cockamamie idea that people don't want to do it.
I don't believe it.
I'm not buying that spin that they tried to spin that, well, people didn't want to do the Arnold.
I love the 212. I think it's a great class. To be honest, I like Classic, but I still like 212 better.
There's probably more 212 shows in the last 2 years than there were 5 years ago.
I think that people are worried now that since the Arnold people took it out, I think a lot of people don't want to hold them. That's why you're seeing a lot of these overseas 212 events going on, less in the United States. But what the hell do I know?
Yeah, no, I think it's very debatable.
What the hell do I know?
I think I don't think people have any care that the Arnold. I mean, I think the athletes care that they didn't put it on, but I think that a promoter could give two craps. I mean, he's going to put on a 212 show because he wants to or not. Yeah. I don't think any, the fact that the Arnold people canceled the 212 Arnold has any bearing on, Mosawi doing a 212 in New Zealand, him doing one over in Lebanon. I mean, think of the places that they've done 212 shows over the last few years.
Well, they're moving overseas. They're more international than they are in the U.S. That's what I'm saying.
Well, what bodybuilding shows besides what shows are in the U.S. for open?
There's a lot of open shows in the U.S.
But the Indy, the Tampa. Yeah. I mean, all the Europa
New York
shows.
Pro.
New York Pro. You got 3.
Well, I don't know them all by heart. There's the California Pro. There's
4.
I think there's a Sacramento Pro. Is
there a Sacramento Pro?
I don't remember. I have to look at the schedule. But I think there's a lot of opens compared to that. We had what was the one that was 2 weeks ago? Oh, that was Indy. We got the one in Baltimore Pro.
They're not doing. Are they doing the Baltimore game?
I don't know. You think I keep up with this stuff? I don't give a shit. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have to look. Let's see. Look at the schedule. Just for shits and giggles. You had the Arnold Australia, the Indy, the Arnold South America, rather. You had the Big Man Pro, which is coming up this weekend.
We're talking about shows in the U.S. So
sorry. You're right. I'm getting ahead of myself. New York Pro.
1. Indy 2.
California Pro. Toronto doesn't count. It's not in the U.S.
California, so we got 3 so
Britain,
far.
that doesn't count. Wings of Strength, Chicago. So Chicago
4.
Pro, that's in the U.S. Vancouver's not in the U.S. Portugal's not in the U.S. George Farah Classic, that's in... there is a... there is, we take that, everything we said for the first half of the show out. There is a Beirut, Lebanon, George Farah Classic in July 27th. How funny is that? Shame on us for not knowing that.
So we got 4 shows in the U.S.
Tampa Pro.
I included that one. California, but no, I think I included that.
Mr. Olympia. Then there's that's a Masters.
So I was right.
Hurricane Masters. Oh, that's Masters. Hold on. Well, I'm not done. I'm still going. Men's bodybuilding. Ben Weider. Oh, that's the Canada. There's a Seoul, Korea one. All right, you're right. There's a lot of overseas ones. So what do we say? No one wants to hold shows in the United States anymore?
Yeah.
No one wants to hold pro shows. Definitely want to hold amateur shows.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the open division is you got to give a lot of prize money away. So I think a lot of these people don't want to do that. That's the problem.
I think you're right.
Now I lost my train of thought of what I wanted to say.
No, I mean, we were talking about, the train of thought was we're talking about there's not many 212 pro shows in the U.S. or they're moving overseas. And then I said, there's not a lot of open pro shows in the U.S.
Well, I think there are more shows going on overseas now, but that's good because what's happening is now that they have the opportunity to hold pro qualifiers, which they never had to do, they can actually leverage the pro show. In other words, before, to hold a pro show in Spain alone, you're going to lose money. There's no way you're selling enough tickets to pay for the prize money and all that stuff. But if you can hold an IFBB Pro Division qualifier where you're going to give out pro cards, now you can hold a pro show because you're going to make a lot of money on all the entry fees and all the people who are going to come see it because they're going to come see their friends in the amateur show.
Yeah, no, you're right there.
So I think that opportunity really is tremendous, and you can't overlook that. I think that they're doing a great job in that sense. I was actually talking to Jim Mannion on the phone the other day, believe it or not, and not that we talked that much, but we were talking, and we were saying how and I told him basically the opportunity that you guys are doing with the NPC now and spreading throughout the other countries is actually a blessing. The fact that Raphael lost his mind and got into an argument, with Jim, it was a pain in the ass at first, but it actually turned out to be something really good for the athletes because now every country has pretty much a pro qualifier, and with the pro qualifiers, usually they hold a pro show, so it's good for the athletes because now, I help a lot of people in India, and there was no way they can get a pro card. There was absolutely no way they can get a pro card because they can never win the world championships, these guys, because they're not as big as some of the the Middle Eastern guys that were doing it. But now they have their own championships in their own countries, and they can do those pro shows. Those pro qualifiers and get pro status, and that's fair. Every country should have representative pros of them. If you win the Mr. Djibouti show, you should be, pro there, right? Why not?
Yeah. Where'd you come up with Djibouti?
that takes you back to my running roots. I was talking about marathon running the other day. I did an interview with Amin Alai. We did a show on Ibogaine.
No, because I have tenants from Djibouti.
You do?
Yeah, they speak French, so they have to speak to my wife because my wife speaks French.
The Djibouti marathon runners, they hit the scene in the 80s when I was big into running, and they were winning everything. Everything. They would, because these guys were running 25 miles to work every day, and so it was like the marathon was like it was a joke to them. They were doing it every day. No. And they have the best runners there. But what I found was, and it sparked my memory the other day, I did an interview with Amin Alai, and we were talking about Ibogaine and how Ibogaine is like it's found in the tree bark in Africa there. And a lot of these they do rituals where they chew the bark, and they get hallucinate. They hallucinate a little bit from it, and they get visions. But it seems to have some kind of an ergogenic aid. And when you use it in small amounts, then the runners there weren't doing it for the fact that they were going to run better, but they were running better because of it also. And I don't know if it's just that it takes away some of the pain.
It sounds like the Djibouti version, the East African version. Or the French East African version of the Dan Duchaine special, which is Nubain.
Right. But this stuff actually, Nubain, I don't think, if anything, Nubain probably didn't have performance enhancing in terms of running because it would actually make you not be able to breathe as well. But this drug, obviously, what they're using it for in Mexico, they have clinics there that they're getting people off heroin and fentanyl and all the opiates. It seems to be very good at preventing it. And Amin actually was addicted to fentanyl because he had a neck surgery, and he was successfully used this stuff down in this Mexican clinic. So we were talking about this and everything like that, but they were using it over in Africa for years as a I guess a way to perform better. They didn't even know it, or maybe they did know it. But then I'm thinking, if you're doing a sport that requires like long distance running for a long period of time and a lot of pain, probably hallucinating probably wouldn't be such a bad idea, right?
Yeah. Well, you have some weird, right? In running, you always hit that runner's high.
Right. You put them in you make them a little higher. Maybe it'll.
Right? If you could leverage that runner's high,
absolutely, and
get even higher, you could run 100 miles.
Sure. Without suppressing respiration, that's the key, obviously. Because if you took a Percocet before you went for running a race, you're not going to run a very good race because you can't breathe. It suppresses respiration. But obviously, Ibogaine doesn't do that. And so it became, if anyone's interested, it's a very interesting interview Amin and I did. And it was, a lot of people contacted me afterwards and said, they had opiate problems and they've either heard of it or they used it or they were going to use it now and they're going to look into it. And, I guess they have to, like, once again, the U.S. government is so fucked up, they won't let any alternative, anything that's going to cut into the big pharma's, profits, they won't allow it in the country. It's like a controlled one substance here. And but you can use it, you can do it in Mexico, and you can get it in, I guess, Canada even. But I know the Mexican areas have the clinic set up down there. You can go and get detoxed. So I thought it was an interesting interview. I don't even know how we got on the subject.
Because I think you were talking about having a 212 show in Djibouti, and I said,
I said Mr. Djibouti. They should have a Mr. Djibouti there. Yeah.
I did not know where Djibouti was until I started to get tenants from Djibouti. So I'm thinking, why would Dave mention Djibouti? I've never heard anyone. I had to take when people said, "Oh, I'm from Djibouti," I'm like, where's that?
Yeah, we used to call it Djibouti because it has the D in it.
Yeah, the D is silent.
Yeah, the D is silent. I had to learn that the hard way. It's funny. You go to like the Mr. Olympia competition, you see like Phil Heath and Jay Cutler, and it's really intimidating. You go to like a race and you see the Djibouti guys. They look like they look like they've been starving to death. Like you just found them on the street. They won everything. If you see the Djibouti guys, you might as well just run and go home at that point.
No.
The Djibouti contingency there. Yeah, but they chew on the bark there, the Ibogaine bark, or the whatever the name of the tree, the Iboga tree. It's called the Iboga tree.
Maybe it's their ergogenic aid. Maybe that's one of the.
Aha! I knew they were cheating, right? That's what everyone wants to say.
Yeah.
They can't just be genetically gifted.
WADA would be upset. We talked about WADA last week, and then the IFBB, whatever, it's a super elite league or something.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So they had a pro show in Texas, Waxahachie, Texas. And the only reason I mention it is it's the IFBB City Limits Pro. And our good friend...
212 open, Dave.
None. They had a men's physique. I wanted to bring it up because my good friend Andre Ferguson has decided. I told you he was going to go on a rampage. He said, even though I won the Arnold, I'm going to be hitting like 4 or 5 shows before the Olympia. I said, you sure it's a good idea? He said, yes. I only get better. I said, okay. And leg 1 of the Andre Ferguson tour has begun, and he pulled in the win this past weekend. So congratulations to Andre.
He'll probably get better and better every show.
He will. He's a freak. Derek Stevenson was second, and George Brown, King George Brown, is third. Congratulations on that. What else is going on? Let's see. There was one other show, I think. St. Louis Pro. Good friend Jack Tony. I haven't talked to Jack in a while. I miss him. I got to call him up one of these days, find out what's going on. Jack used to fly out to New York all the time with Ann. They used to come on the TV show. I used to hang out with them. Let's see what happens when you have kids. Crazy. How's it having 4 kids now? Everything going all right?
No, it feels just like we're a bigger family. That's all.
Okay. Because there's a big age discrepancy. How are the other kids responding to the baby?
They love it. They love it. Really? They all love it. Yeah.
My son is a nutcase now with my daughter now because my daughter, I pick up my daughter and he's like, pick me up. And he's like, he's big, he's big. Even though he's 3 years old, he's a big 3-year-old. So I picked them. Now that I have 2 new shoulders, Chris, I actually pick both of them up together.
I used to love to do that.
Yeah. One in each hand. And they look at each other, they laugh, and they think it's hysterical. I said, what am I going to do when I got 3? I'm not that strong.
You have to pick up like soccer or something.
Yeah.
Keep one.
I got to put Logan on my shoulders. So now everything there's a lot of jealousy. I'm noticing that's a lot of competition between the 2 kids now, which is going to get worse when we have a 3rd. That's why I was asking you how everyone's getting along now that you have a 4th child, which I'm sure the baby is getting way more attention than everyone else is right now. No comment?
What's that? You just cut out.
Oh, that's weird. No, I said now that you have 4 kids and a baby, and I'm assuming the baby's getting a lot more attention. how are the other kids responding to that? You know, they're
No,
not.
they're very good actually. They so far. I mean,
So they don't feel like they're being gypped.
No, nobody feels jealous. Nobody feels left out. You know, if anything, I realize that it just means that I have to. It means I have less time. Technically, you have less time.
Yeah.
But that's really your decision on how do you want to use your time. But I do realize there's probably like less time, or technically less time. So the time that I give, or should be given, each of my sons has to be like more definitive and pay attention to them time rather than just like bullshit time.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is a lot of the teenagers probably don't want anything to do with you anymore anyway. So that takes a little burden off.
It depends on what day it is of the week.
During the week, I'm sure they have no interest, right? Or is it vice versa? Is it the weekend they want you?
No, they just, it depends on the mood that they're in. You know, if they want to do their own thing, they want to avoid me. My 15-year-old's at the point of, which I love, I embarrass him.
Oh, you've become that parent now? That's embarrassing?
No, I try to embarrass him on purpose.
Oh.
I try to act. I try. If I go get him at school, I try to walk goofy.
Oh no! You're funny.
I try to dress terribly. I try to show up at school with my hair completely messy.
Oh my God, you're funny.
Or like with a different hat on that looks stupid.
Right.
But I don't.
Embarrass them when you like yell at the teachers?
I don't overplay it.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it just drives them nuts.
They used to like it when you used to argue with people, right? Now they're mortified by you.
Well, now my oldest says it's a negative.
Yeah. I bet his friends probably would.
You know, I told him that's just because I argue with you and I beat you.
Not for long.
He's in debate class, so he likes to come home and debate topics, which
really?
I love.
Yeah. Oh, you
I
probably.
think, yeah, pick any topic you want to debate about. Maybe
we should get your son on Iron Debate.
Oh, he's only been in debate class like 6 weeks, so he'll get smoked.
Right. Tell him to tell him to wait till the end of the year. He'll be ready to go by June.
I mean, the cast of characters you bring on Iron Debate, he might have to go up against like Lee Priest, or he could probably beat Sean Ray.
Yeah,
I'd coach him on it. But he'd have to go up against.
What about Romano? Romano's
Sergio.
Tough. Yeah, Romano's tough. Yeah. Romano's redoing his pool. I was looking on Facebook. The guy is so handy with his. I never knew he was. I mean, I did know because he built our studio in New York. But the guy is so handy with his. What a gift he's got. I mean, I said, John, you took this for granted.
Tools?
He could build anything. The guy, anything, and not just like, you know how you know someone who can fix anything, but. You know, just they know how to just bear. He does like fine work, like stuff you would have him do on your house. Like you'd be like, oh, I definitely get this guy to work on my house. Like good workmanship, you know.
I'd love to have that talent.
Oh yeah, right.
Well, back in the day, in like the Paul Revere time,
very functional.
Husbands were expected to like build stuff.
I know. You and I would be fucking tossed out. We'd be like bait.
Well, Dave, I mean, you without Amazon, you'd be like a, right?
You know what the funny thing is?
You can't build anything, but you can like buy stuff quickly.
Right. You know what the funny thing is? My wife thinks that I can't do anything, and when I do something, she's like blown away because I actually can do things. I just choose not to because I feel it's a waste of my time. You know, I'd rather be doing other stuff that I feel is more important to like productivity. You know, for me to go outside and paint something or put something together. That's going to kill like 3 hours and like 4 hours. I'm like, I could be, answering emails.
I knew you were going to say that. You could have done 3 hours of emails instead of
No, because I'm up to like 4 and 3 in the morning now because I can't get everything done. And then my son wants to get up in the middle of the night and have a nervous breakdown. And then my daughter's sick, so my wife's with my daughter. And I'm with my son, and I'm answering emails on my phone till 4 in the morning, which is way harder. People don't realize, I always tell my clients, I'm sure you do too. I'm like, don't text me your updates unless I ask you to. We're close to a show.
Well, Dave,
Because-
I just wanted. I knew you're not asking for an update, but I thought I'd chime in today, and I look really good, so I'm giving you an update, even though you don't need it.
Well, that's not a problem. But you know how I get some people that'll ask me 6 questions via text messages. I'm like, can you email this to me? It's a lot easier for me to type it out.
Now, do you mean cooked or not cooked? Is that
Yeah, uncooked or cooked, right? Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think there's anything that is wrong with it. I don't think there's anything that you can consider a dumb question, although I've had a couple of them over the course of years, but I'd rather have people ask me than make dumb mistakes. But I've had some pretty doozy questions asked to me. I'm like, one of my clients, and he probably listens to the show. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a great guy. And he said to me, I feel very guilty. I think I ate too much for my cheat meal. Should I go out and should I go run? Oh, no, should I go do any exercise now? I said, go run 50 miles. So I said it really sarcastically now, and I wanted to see, and I know he's very smart and intelligent. I wanted to see if he was going to pick up that I was being sarcastic, or was he going to say, I just started the run.
Carbs, he might be delirious and not even know,
No, yeah. So he said to me, he goes, I get it. All right, I'll just chill out. So, which gave me faith in humanity, because I think there was other people that I might have said that to might have said, all right, I'll call you in 6 hours. I'll let you know how it went, Yeah, so you gotta sometimes. But like I said, I have people who think that they're bothering me, and I always tell them, you're not bothering me. I said, because there's no such thing as a dumb question. All right, getting back to Jack Titoni's St. Louis Pro, women's physique, Natalia, talking about people who won the Arnold and are still competing, Natalia Coelho. She won the Arnold and decided, I'm going to do the show. I'm going to jump in. And she wins. Good decision or poor decision?
I think it's a good decision if you
too.
win, right?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? If you got it. She's always in shape. She doesn't even have to diet, Brooke Walker, second. And Penpragai Tiagaknak from, I probably butchered that last name, Thailand. She was third. We like her physique. If you remember, we were talking about her a few weeks ago at the Arnold. Or a few months ago, I should say. It feels like the Arnold was a few weeks ago, but it was actually a couple of months ago.
Was it 2 months ago? No, 6 weeks ago.
The Arnold? In the USA? That was in March. The beginning of March. March, April. We're at the end of April already. So what is it, 2 months? Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right.
There was a pro figure event. Laurel Martineau wins. Sandra Grajales from Mexico, second. Autumn Cleveland, third.
I don't know these people. How's that?
I know them.
How do you know them?
I'll tell you how I know them. Because I don't go to the shows like I know them. I do Muscle in the Morning, and every Wednesday we do a recap Wednesday. So anyone who's competed, top 3 to 5 places, we always go over it, and that's how I go and I see the pictures. So I actually am forced. I do know who all these players are, the top players. I don't know. I probably don't know who the 15th place girl is, but I do know the other ones. All right, bikini. Listen, I like to give them their just. I don't even know if they listen to the show, but I'd like to say it. Jessica Palmer wins the bikini. Jasmine Gonzalez in second, and Alexandria Ross in third. So, Jack, call me. Congratulations on running another great show. He puts on, the athletes always have first class treatment out there in St. Louis too. So I gotta take my hat off to him in that response. In that respect, I should say. All right, I think that covers all the pro action from this past weekend. What else do I want to talk about? Let's see.
You got your Roger Stone interview.
Oh, I did. Yes, I did. Roger Stone obviously is very good friends with Amin Alai, who said, hey, Roger wants to come on the show again. I'm like, all right, I want to talk about the raid on his house. For those who haven't been following, obviously Roger Stone's house was raided by the cops, and he was arrested at gunpoint. It was like a total overkill. They tipped off the CNN was there, with the camera set up before the people even got there for the raid. It was totally ridiculous. I wanted to ask him about it, just about how it feels to be like public enemy number one. And I guess he feels vindicated in the sense that, Trump was, it was the report, the Russian collusion report came out And they said, well, what was the guy who did the report?
Mueller.
And they found that there was no collusion or
just obstruction. But
no obstruction of justice. Yeah. And so Roger feels good.
So Roger feels that he's getting off the hook.
He doesn't know. He just said it's costing him a lot of money, but he feels confident in his, his defense of himself. It is a nightmare. I mean, I guess no one wants anyone coming to the house with guns drawn, but I don't know. We don't know what he did or didn't do or anything like that. But he seems like a good guy to me. He's always been very cordial to us, and he's got good insights. He's a good talker. I like to interview people who have a lot to say.
Maybe even if you get him on Iron Debate with someone.
He would probably be good. Maybe he can debate your son.
No, he's only got 6 weeks of debate class.
Yeah, Roger
60 years.
Yeah, he's got experience with Richard Nixon. I mean, you can't get any better than that, right? I did a great interview, by the way, with Andy Haman. If you want to watch a,
oh yeah, you told me you spoke to Andy.
He was terrible. He was tremendously great on the interview because he's been nursing an injury and we were just talking about family, and we were talking about what it means, to how he got into bodybuilding, and he got in later. Obviously, he was a teen guy that was really good, but then he kind of took a break when he had a family and. We were talking. I was asking him how it was raising his kids, and he was the wrestling coach, and he was this coach and that coach, and it was. I thought it was a really grounding interview for a person who's a bodybuilder, but who also wants to have a family or has a family, and he kind of balanced it and did both, in his own way. And now his son is competing in the classic physique division.
How old is his son? Yeah, I remember when his son was
he's in his 20s now,
a kid,
early 20s, young still. But I asked him how he felt about that, and he said, Dave, it got to a point, and I'm sure you're approaching this. You still have some control, where he goes, I can tell my son Sam what to do, but he doesn't listen. It doesn't matter. Wow. He's his own man now. He can. Now I'm just an advisor. I'm not the boss anymore. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow. But I had to. And he also told me, interesting. I said, how did you deal with, because you're very competitive, Andy. I said, how did you deal with your kids playing sports? He's like, Dave, when I was coaching, I used to tell the parents, look, I'm the coach. Let me be the bad guy. If your sons or your daughter, whoever he's coaching, is not doing well, let me yell at them. And if they're doing good, let me encourage them. You just be positive. You just support them. You're here to support them. Mm-hmm. And he says that was a hard thing for me to do. Just come to the game and support my kids as they competed, no matter what happened. Don't yell at them. Don't yell at the ref. He's like, because when he was a coach, he actually had to go to Denver, Colorado, believe it or not, because he's from Colorado Springs, but he was such an aggressive coach, that he had to go, and they agreed that the only way he can continue coaching is if he wore a seatbelt in his chair when he would coach. True story. So he couldn't get up, because you can't get up if you're seatbelted in the chair, right? Because he would get up and he would be screaming in the ref's split faces and stuff like that. Not the kids. He would yell at the referees and stuff like that.
Sounds like a friend of mine.
Yeah. But it's true, because think about it. We're so competitive, your kids, get in there and you want to yell and this and that. And he's like, just be there and support them and say, I love you. That's it. And I had to sit a couple parents down and tell them that and explain it to them. So I thought that was
kids want to win, coaches want to win, and at any level, right?
Right, but he's right though. Let me do my job. He told the parents, your job is not to be screaming at your kids in the game or screaming at the referees and stuff like that. Let me scream at the referees. Let me scream at your kids. I'll be the bad guy. You be the good guy.
Yeah.
And that was at least it was therapy for me, because I'm thinking, what? He's right. If I'm not coaching and my son is on a team, I gotta chill out on the sidelines, because I get into the sport. Right now it doesn't matter. My kid's 3 years old, but I'm sure you probably screamed at a few referees, right?
No, because I just go and I watched it. I watched the game and I'm still learning football and soccer and all the things tracked, the sports that my kids do. So one of my sons played soccer for the longest time. He still does. And, it's like, here's the parents. or hustle. They have
Sure.
all encouraging stuff.
Right.
Then the other son went out for football, and it was like 12 and 13-year-olds, and it was he went out when he was 12, but these kids have been playing football since they were like 9, and all the parents, they walk the chain.
Did they really?
They go down on the field, and the mothers too, and they scream at the refs. I told Troy Alves, I said, Troy, what a difference between football parents and soccer parents. The football parents, the first game, one of the mothers got into it with one of the refs, and she got kicked off the field. It was crazy.
That's great.
I loved it too. I loved it because she was like battling for, she wanted the team to win, and she was, screaming at the top of her lungs, bad call, but then she made it personal, with the ref.
And I'm not like saying this in a I don't want to be called a chauvinist or anything like that, but it doesn't seem more humorous for a woman to be on the field screaming like a maniac. Usually the women, the controlled ones, that have like, self-control, and they're the ones telling the husbands, calm down, you're embarrassing him, I could see my mom saying that to my dad, when calm down, you're going to embarrass him, on the field, because I'm sure the kids are mortified when their parents are screaming. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, it's funny you say that because of the most of the parents walking the chain in football were mothers.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes the fathers are working. Maybe you think that's what it was.
That could be. They probably wonder what why is Chris? Why is
Chris Aceto doesn't work.
Yeah.
He's just independently wealthy. Yeah.
He's just hanging out. Why doesn't he walk the chain?
Yeah, I got to remember that if my kid ever plays football. Well, I got to walk the chain. I also interviewed Juan Morel this past week about his win at the Arnold Brazil.
Oh, he's going to be like on high.
Yeah, I think that was the high. I would say that would probably be
highlight of his career.
Yeah, I think that would be bigger than the New York Pro win, even though he probably beat better guys at the New York Pro. I think getting interviewed by Arnold has got to be the highlight of any bodybuilder's career.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. He's thinking about doing New York too, which I think
he is.
Yeah, I don't know if he should, but you know what? Who cares? He's not going to win the Olympia, so you might as well hit the big shows.
Yeah, it's not a bad move at all, because you know what? It just. I mean, if you win, right? I mean, it's nice to win.
He lives there. It's not like he's got to travel for it, Well,
it's not like. If he wins, he looks like a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea who's in the show, but obviously he could win.
Absolutely.
Juan's very good when he's big, when he's full.
Yeah, when he finds that nice balance and everything, and he said he didn't do his usual crazy, ridiculous cheat meals and stuff like that. He kept it pretty clean. He just ate, more clean food. He did some cardio, which he never usually does. Well, I said, you when you get older, your metabolism slows down a little bit too, which is actually good for bodybuilding if you have a very fast metabolism. Mm-hmm. I noticed it took me till I was almost 30 years old also for my metabolism to kind of chill out a little bit, where I can actually hold on to some weight, and I didn't have to eat ridiculous amounts of food, like to the point where my stomach was, blown out of control. And luckily for him, he never had a gut issue anyway, because he's got that long torso, and whatever he did worked, I thought, for this show. He was a little on the flat side, but I think he could be a little bit fuller still. But I thought he brought a really good look to the stage. So we talked about that. That was great. I saw Big Ramy made an announcement that he's going to be doing, I think, the Tampa.
Well, we said this on the
yeah.
How's that? We just used common sense.
Well, you said right off the bat he was never going to be ready for New York or Toronto. Neil Hill confirmed that to me, obviously, and then they made the announcement on the Tampa, which is really the last show they can do anyway, right? That's the last qualifier. Now here's the kicker. What if he doesn't win?
Well, is Dexter doing it?
That's what I hear. If Ramy loses, he doesn't go to the Olympia.
Yeah.
Is that risky?
No, because I just can't. I'm trying to weigh in my mind.
I guess they figure if he can't beat Dexter, then he shouldn't be doing the Olympia anyway, right?
That's one.
Although, Dexter, he's always in shape. If Ramy comes in a little off, just for whatever reason, he gets food poisoning or something like that,
I'll make a prediction now. Dexter will be in the best condition he's been in 3 years.
Yeah.
There's no way in Dexter's mind that he's going to get beat. I don't care. Simply because Dexter would be okay losing that show to Ramy if that show was the Arnold Spain or the Arnold Brazil or the Arnold Ohio. But in his mind, he is not going to Tampa. In his mind, it's a rinky-dink show in terms of comparable shows that he's won and not win.
What about this? Why doesn't Ramy do the George Farah Classic in Lebanon the week before? The 27th of July.
Maybe he can't get a visa.
He can walk to Lebanon from Dubai.
No, I don't know.
No, in fact, they're actually giving more money away. It's $25,000. I think that it would be in his best interest to hedge his bets a little bit. Don't you think?
Maybe he thinks
new coach
that,
figuring out things the right way.
No, maybe he thinks that there's more prestige in winning the Tampa show, or there's more.
Do both. What's that? We get back to this whole thing about
why maybe guys he can't do the George Farah because George prepped him, and there's a conflict of competing in the show in which you're.
Oh, you think
coaches?
Who knows? It could be as crazy as that. You never know. I mean, George is only the promoter, and I'm sure George is doing nothing. I'm sure he's just using his name, but I'm sure you'll have judges over there that don't really care about the politics of of that. I personally think that it's a mistake. I think that Ramy should do that show and then come to Tampa the next week, or he doesn't even need to go to Tampa. But if he wants to, make a convincing thing, you're working with a new coach. Test out the waters. Why not? I don't know. We'll see what happens. I bet you Ramy's going to be staying in the U.S. for a couple weeks before Tampa. This trade with deal, right? Sounds like a typical deal.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. That's probably why I just want to do it. He doesn't want to have to go back there and then come back again. There's also that show in Portugal on the 21st of July.
Yeah, that's right.
2 weeks before that.
Is that I know there's a classic. Is that there's a men's open there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the men's open right now, the schedule. As you said, Chris, all the shows are overseas.
Even George's show is overseas.
Yeah. George is smart. The overseas people love him there. Probably put on a really good show there. It is saturated here. It's hard to hold a show here, and I'll tell you why. Because it's hard to get an amateur show here to go along with it. No, the only person who could hold a pro show and make money from it would be the Arnold people, which they really don't because they have an amateur now too. But and Steve Weinberger, the New York Pro. The New York Pro is the only standalone pro show. Think about it. Left. There's no amateur show associated with that.
Yeah.
And Steve makes money on that show because people in New York.
Because it's kind of like a junior. I mean, it's like a.
People in New York will pay will pay to go see the show.
Without a doubt.
They like it. It's an event.
That's one. It is an event. And then two, it's the hit. I mean, it's been around forever.
Yeah,
forever.
I think it's a good move to.
It's a good point,
overseas.
Right? That there's not an amateur, show to it.
No, it's never been one. There's never been one. I don't believe it's. I think it's always been just a pro show, and Steve always sells that show out. I don't think there's been a single year that he's held it that he has not sold it out, and that just goes to show you that New York fans love bodybuilding, and it goes back to the old Night of Champion. That was a destination. You probably came down from Maine every single year and saw that show, right?
I used to come down to see it. I go to New York Pro every year, no matter what.
Yeah, no, you do.
I can't wait. I'm going again this year.
Yeah, you'll be covering it for us with Sid probably. I probably won't be there.
When it was in Manhattan, way back, what was the name of the restaurant next door?
Oh, yeah. Everyone would jam in there. It was like horrendous. It was. You had to wait forever. Why people went to? There's 4 million restaurants in New York City, but yet everyone had to go to that one restaurant after the show. I think people went there just to see the bodybuilders, don't you?
Yeah. You want to know? I can remember Mike Francois winning that show and me calling someone to tell them Mike won from a payphone from that restaurant.
That's funny.
Payphones.
That goes back to the 90s. Yeah.
Put in 10,000 quarters just to call like Massachusetts.
10,000 quarters. You couldn't even use a credit card. You had to put the change in there. Unbelievable, right? How times have changed. All right, let's see what else. I want to make sure I didn't. Oh, I had a quote. It's funny. I had a quote of the week, and I thought it's a funny quote of the week, and it goes back to, and you know what? Once again, everything comes full circle on all our shows, and a lot of times it's unintentional. I have this. I belong to this newsletter that I get it's kind of like a quote of the day type of thing, and it's really advice of the day. And so sometimes I pull stuff from it, and so this was some of the advice they had given, and I'll read it, and then I'm going to give you my interpretation of it. If we had a child or anyone and we caught them doing something inappropriate, we would not amplify it with our words. We would identify what it is that we do not want, and then out of it would come the rocket of desire of what we do want. And then we would just visualize until we find peace within our vision. When you make someone and their action the heart of a vision that you've spent time on, your relationship improves. Your experience is better, and they receive the benefits of that experience.
Holy crap, I got lost on sentence 400.
All right. Basically, they're saying is, if you catch your kids doing something inappropriate, visualize, send out peaceful energy to them. I'm like, evidently, these people never had kids.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of my son trying to get him into the car to get him to the
transition. That's called transitions, Dave. Kids are terrible at transitions, getting them to bed, getting them into the car, getting them out of the car.
It's like it adds 50% more time to everything you do.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you have to scream at them. It's the only thing that works. Now I understand it. Now that I have kids, I understand. You have to scream. Yeah. You can't visualize. It doesn't work.
Well, my 13-year-old had a very serious conversation with me the other day. He said he wanted to know why I didn't spank. Why didn't I spank more? Because the 5-year-old annoys him.
Yeah. Oh, he wants you to spank the 5-year-old, not him.
And you know what? Probably if I was like 23 or 33, I'm 53, so I have I let a lot of things go. So I said, what would I spank him for? He had a giant list of things.
Right.
And I said, those are nothing. He's just being 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I got spanked. Definitely. I think I got spanked more by my mother than my father. If my father had to had to get involved in it, then I was in big trouble. That's how it worked with us. My
father used to give me the belt, and I used to hide in the house.
Yeah. My father didn't even need the belt. It was My father used to hurt himself, like chasing me.
Oh, trying to chase you down?
Because chasing me and hitting me. Because he wouldn't, obviously, if he whacked me, he wasn't going to hit me with all his might. So he would always like strain muscles and stuff like that, and then be cursing after that. And I would be laughing and running off into hiding into some room or something like that. And my father probably got hurt more than I got hurt with the beatings. I was very limber and very agile, and so my father couldn't catch me. Which probably didn't make him too happy. So
I ran into my I don't even know what she's a cousin. She's an older cousin of mine, much older. She used to babysit me when I was little. And I ran into her the other day. I haven't seen her in...
Would you say your father was crazy?
No, my father was crazy. But
I know. It's funny when other people recognize that after the person's not alive anymore,
Yeah. I haven't seen her in like maybe 40 years.
Yeah.
She washed my mouth out physically with soap when I was little.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, for back talking to her.
Wow. And she wasn't even your parent. That's pretty impressive.
No.
Interesting. I always say that the way we raise kids has changed so drastically. I wonder how the kids will turn out. I bet it doesn't alter anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing alters stuff.
No, because they're always like, everyone's always like, my kid, when Logan
these days, the kids these days.
When Logan was a kid, like, he wasn't speaking. He's just starting to talk now. He's delayed a little bit, but I was delayed from what I understand, at least. And everyone, someone came up to me and said to me, "You know what, Dave? When they're 6, they're all the same." They all catch up. No one is behind or ahead. They're all the same. Don't worry about it. And he's right.
It's true.
It really is. Because I think we internalize. We somehow relate ourselves, like a failure in ourselves, if something in our kids are not perfect. It has nothing to do with the kids. It's us. Yeah. So that's why we try to fix everything, I think. Same thing with bodybuilding. You want to fix everyone that's broken, but there's some people that just won't listen. There's some people that they don't want it as bad as you want it. How many people have you worked with where you're like, man, if this guy just had my drive and my tenacity and my ability to suffer, they would be Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, or someone else's. You could take somebody with great genetics, who you have a high expectation for, and you could be helping someone get ready for the Southeast Florida show who's just a maniac, and think, God, if this guy who's the maniac, if I could take his drive and his determination and put it in this guy's mind and soul,
they would be unstoppable.
Special, yeah. But everyone's different, so. And then if you did that, if everyone with great genetics had the crazy super maniac drive of the guy who's you're working with at the for the small Southeast Florida show, then everyone would be great.
Yeah, it's true. It absolutely is true. I have people, my clients say, "Oh, I'm suffering, this, that it hurts," but I'm like, welcome to bodybuilding. Now you know why there's not a million great people out there, because not everyone can handle the pain and suffering and the deferred gratification, which is really what it amounts to.
Welcome to that's the way life is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
the people who are willing to suffer and defer their pleasure usually wind up being the most successful. That doesn't imply that you have to suffer, but it means that people who are willing to not always have what they want tend to be more successful.
Well, there's a quote somewhere and this is not unique by any means to Jay. It's unique to, it's common to many guys in the Olympia. It's common to many people who didn't do well at the Nationals but gave it their best. Is, somewhere Jay says on some type of video, I sacrificed everything. Birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, friendships, vacations, all of it, chasing the dream of being Mr. Olympia.
I did too, but I never made it.
Well, I
made it in a different way. No, but the point is,
I just said, it's common to people in the Mr. Olympia, and it's common to people who in the Nationals who didn't even, win the Nationals.
Sure. So but you know what? If you are willing to go that route, usually other avenues open up for you, and that's what happened to me, at least.
Well, if you can, if you put it into context, the amount of time, energy, effort that it takes to prep for a show, if you took that time, effort, and energy and put it into any other endeavor, you're going to be at least pretty good at it. You got to be at the minimum pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Taking French lessons to go speak in Djibouti. If you took that same tenacity, energy, effort, sacrifice that you put into bodybuilding and into anything else, some type of successes at the end of the road.
Yeah, no, I'm a pretty good snake breeder now, and I became obsessed and consumed with it, and I'm pretty good at it now. I wouldn't say I'm the best out there because I still am relatively new to it, and I don't give it 100% full time attention, although I give it a lot of attention. But I'm in anything I'm 100% into it. Like I'm really, like I'm into Avengers now. Because my kid watches the movie all the time. I know everything about the Avengers. I'm an Avengers expert. Not that it's going to make me any money, but I watch these YouTube channels. So there's guys that have, no kidding, 10 million subscribers to their channel, and every
And they
video
just
they
talk
put
about
up
the
has a
movie?
million, and all they talk about is Avengers.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, holy shit, fuck bodybuilding. I should be talking about the Avengers. I'd be making a lot more money,
Yeah, you could.
right?
Probably good at it.
And all you got to do is watch the movies, and do a little background information on it. And they put forth all these theories. They break down every scene. Like they'll put a trailer up. They'll break down they zoom in on the thing. Oh, look in the background. You got to see this little coffee cup that says this on it. It's unbelievable. But minutia, niche markets is where the money is at nowadays, which was never that way in the past.
Boutique.
You can have the most successful YouTube channels will be the ones that deal with minutia of something. I collect monarch butterflies. I grow mandarin orange trees. You would think that this person's a moron. He's doing a YouTube channel about orange trees. What is he, fucking nuts? The guy's got 1 million fucking subscribers, and he gets a $10,000 check from YouTube every month.
Well, you know what, Dave? There's this. It's so funny you say that. There is this guy who he breaks down Muhammad Ali's all-time top fights, and he goes round by round. And I mean, it's fascinating the minutia that he covers in each round.
The things that no one ever even knew.
The way he breaks it down is it's so entertaining. It's so like it feels like the number one expert ever in boxing, and the guy probably has never thrown a punch in his life.
I'd like someone to break down the Cedric McMillan guest posing, posing routine, like that, second by second. Cedric's turning here, and
he could break it down.
Oh, he probably could, better than anyone. To get him to do anything, that would be like pulling teeth, though. Next weekend is the Tamer El Gundi's show in Brazil, the IFBB Pro Bikini and Pro 212. That's going to be...
See, there you go. Another 212 out of the country.
Yep, you're right. Let's see what else is going on next week. We have the big man show is next week too. That's going to be a good one. Akeem Williams will be doing that one, trying to get the Olympia qualification there. I heard Josh Lenardowitz is doing that one as well.
Rafael's doing it.
Rafael Brandeo too. Okay,
he's stuck in the airport right now, and
he's got Chris Aceto luck, huh?
Yeah, stuck in Atlanta.
$25,000 up. I think that's probably the total prize package, but that's still pretty good. And is this weekend? Is the Kuwait Pro also this?
I think that's in 2 weeks.
April 26th. No, next weekend.
Is it a 212?
Pro men's physique, pro classic physique.
Okay.
You got any classic guys in that one?
No.
And the amateur Olympia, South Korea. How about that one? Also, next weekend. Big weekend coming up. I love it. A lot of action. Getting a lot of pro cards out there. I think the fact that we're going to see all these pro cards this especially this year. I think by next year we're going to see a very big pro division with a lot more talent. Probably guys that we don't even know crawling out of the woodwork.
For what class? What division?
For the Open. I think the Open, Classic,
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot. I think with the advent of more abilities to turn pro, you're going to see more people participating. And I think we're going to be surprised. I think when you start having numbers like that, Chris, coming into the pro league from weird places that we never had it before, you're bound to get one or two prodigies, don't you think?
I think in the men's Open and the 212, I think we're at a pivotal year. I think in the Open we're at a pivotal year because Phil's gone, at least this year. I think the 212 we're at a pivotal year not because there's no Arnold show, supposedly because nobody wants to do it, and there's 1 million 212 shows, including this weekend in Brazil and last weekend in Lebanon, but Flex Lewis is out, so those are interesting facets, and there are a lot more pro qualifiers, and there's a lot more people who you wouldn't think a 212 was shrinking down to 212. I just think you're going to see a shakeout.
We'll have to see. We'll see if you're right. There's definitely, obviously, open. It feels like even though Roden won the Olympia last year and we have a reigning Mr. Olympia coming back, it feels like when Yates retired and the crown was like open, like there's an ability to win it. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Sean's going to win it again. I think that feeling in the air is that it might be available, that Sean might not be able to hold on to it. And we know the 212, crown is vacated. So, yeah, you're right. I think that we're in a state of flux, and I think we're going to get some new champions coming in, or at least either the existing champion is going to reestablish himself as the guy to beat, or we're going to see new blood coming in. So that's exciting, and that's going to make the Olympia that much more exciting. But for now, though, we are out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.